Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Thursday, April 28th. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RCP.
I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief. Hello, Tom. 2 more days till the Correspondents' dinner.
Are you going, Carl? Are you going to be there this year? It's the first time it's been, it's the first time a president's attended in a number of years, and obviously it hasn't been held for the last couple of years because of COVID.
Well, yes, and everybody's excited. I mean, all the Democrats are excited, and the media. But I repeat myself. But look, it should be fun. It should be good. It's nice to, Tom. You and I've talked about this. Whatever you're doing, if you're going to a baseball game or something you haven't done, or eating in a restaurant a couple of years, flying on a plane where you're not required to have a mask, you feel like the country's finally coming out of this. Now it won't exactly be like that at this event because 2 reasons. One is the Gridiron Dinner, which is the first spring dinner of the prestigious Gridiron Club, turned into a super spreader event. The White House Correspondents Association doesn't want that to happen, so they're requiring same-day testing, vaccination cards. So in a sense, it'll be like it was before, but in another sense, it'll be a reminder that things are not, that we're still in COVID, that this coronavirus is still among us.
And apparently Biden is going to miss the eating portion of the dinner and just show up for the fireworks, and fun that happens.
I think he's just going to a reception where it'll be close contact so he can make sure and give some reporters COVID. I don't know. I can't quite figure that one out.
So, Carl, this is something that Donald Trump didn't do. And famously, a lot of people, and you actually believe this because I know you stopped him on the way out of the Correspondents' dinner. When was it? Back in 2011, when I think it was Seth Meyers that roasted him and Barack Obama. They just torched Donald Trump, and he got up and he was so pissed off. And as you walk in, a lot of people think that was the moment that he decided that he was going to run for president to show all these people, what.
Trump's denied that, and other people close to him. But I was there, Tom, and you were at the table, and he was
at the way back. I remember
he was a
this.
private citizen at the time, and I bolted away, and I went and talked to him briefly. And I came back and to our table. The dinner was ending, but he left a little early, just a few seconds. And I told you, Tom, I have a very bad feeling about this.
So, Carl, does this, and the other thing about this event, does it represent the best or worst of Washington? This, critics say, oh my God, it's just this insidery, incestuous, everybody gets together and pats themselves on the back and they chuckle at the expense of Republicans. And, because all the comedians who attend this thing are left wing and have gotten progressively more so, no pun intended, over the previous years, to the point where it was, unfunny to, a lot of folks, and almost cringy and embarrassing. Or is this, the civility, and it's a moment for the press to sort of let their hair down and enjoy a nice evening where, the president shows up and this sort of represents, the better part of Washington.
Well, you know what, Tom, I don't mean to be a cop out, but it's both. It really is. I mean,
it really is what?
It's both the best and the worst of Washington.
That was a trick question, Carl.
The original idea is that for, one night of the year, we put down our swords, they put down their swords, and we remind each other that we're fellow human beings. We care about the country. We came to Washington, whether we're reporters or politicians, because we cared about the civic governance of America. And, we may disagree on, Democrats and Republicans especially may disagree on the solutions. And, the press is caught in the middle there traditionally. And it was a healthy thing, I think. But as it progressed in the last part of the 20th century and the first part of the 21st century, we have gotten away from it for some of the reasons you cited. Stephen Colbert came when he was still John Stewart's understudy, and he was very. And in the reception before, as a former president of the association, I guess that was the year I was the president, or incoming president the following year. He was very courteous to Bush, and he brought his family, and a large family, and his mom liked W, and he introduced her. And he was a really nice And then he went out there and he just savaged Bush for like 20 minutes. And it wasn't bipartisan, it was partisan. Al Franken came one year as a comedian and was very funny and bipartisan. He came back a couple of years later, and in that period of time, he decided he wanted to go in politics. And of course, he was less funny and much more. It was partisan, and so, that if it's nonpartisan, we're on good grounds. When it becomes partisan, it reminds people of everything they hate about us.
You said, it was a moment where we could lay our swords down. When's the last time, Carl? I mean, excluding the Trump years, and they didn't have the Correspondents' dinner, I think, during most of Trump's, and I guess he didn't attend. When's the last time the press carried their swords and had to lay them down for a Democratic administration?
Well,
Bill Clinton, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Look, we were tough on Clinton, but I can tell you the last dinner that really worked as it was supposed to, was perfect, was the year I was president.
Of course.
I had George Condon, who works for National Journal now, and for years it covers the White House, and for years was the bureau chief at Copley Newspapers. He's the institutional memory of the Correspondents Association. He's written a book about it, and he and I had a long-standing debate. It lasted decades. I said we should go back to the original way, like in the 60s, and have a singer there and not have comedians, because that's fraught for the reasons you just pointed out. And so the year before I became president, Ray Charles was the singer, and he was late on the stage, and he was at the twilight of his career, and he lost the room. We sat in the room for like 20 minutes. He was up in his hotel room, and George kind of won the debate that he and I'd have. And as I was walking off the stage, I was the incoming president, but the dinner the following year was going to be my responsibility. I whispered to Julie Whiston, who was then the executive director, I said, call Jay Leno. And she called him the next day. And lining up the entertainment is a big headache for these presidents. But Leno agreed on Monday, so 362 days before my dinner. So it went seamlessly. He was bipartisan. I gave a nonpartisan speech. So did Bush, actually, because the war in Iraq was going on. He talked about the troops. And so in 2004, I can tell you, we had a good dinner. So maybe we'll have a good one Saturday night too.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll leave it there. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder, president of RealClearPolitics.
And I'm Carl Cannon, former White House Correspondents Association president and Washington bureau chief of RealClearPolitics. And this has been the RCP Takeaway for Thursday, April 28th, 2022.